All right, so today you are going to make pierogi birds, and you'll see why they're called pierogi birds in a minute. So I have my little piece of clay. This is actually way too much. I'm gonna cut this in half. So my knife had red clay on it. I'm gonna get the red clay on it off of it because red and white clay don't play together. I'm gonna cut it in half. This clay is new, so it's very, very soft, which you might think is a good thing, but it's not necessarily a great thing. So, but it goes into a ball really neatly. So that's helpful. So this is gonna start as a pinch pot as well. So I'm just gonna roll this down into a ball using the heel of my hand and knock down all the corners. Now this stuff isn't gonna crack like the red clay was cracking a little bit because this has a lot of moisture in it. So I'm gonna roll this down into a ball. Well, kind of knock it down into a ball, I guess I should say. And it's probably not gonna make a perfectly round ball just because it's so soft. I would prefer it to be a little less squishy, but it'll work. And you'll see why I would like for it to be a little less squishy when we're about halfway through. I have to bend it to make it look like a pierogi. And if it's too soft, it'll kind of collapse. But it should be fine. Okay. So I made a nice round ball. It's pretty big because you're making a bird. So I'm going to start making my pinch pot. I'm gonna put my thumb in and just do exactly what we did last time. I'm just gonna start pinching around the top. And I'm just gonna go around and around. And basically this is what I'm doing. Making like a little, and of course it's not really round anymore. Like I said, it always looks like a little mushroom cap. That's okay. I'm just thinning it out. And I know you can't see inside there very well, but it's like a little cave. And so I'm gonna go like this, and all I'm doing is pushing my thumb along the inside, like this part of your thumb. And it's just gonna smooth it out. I'm also thinning out the walls when I'm doing this, but I don't want them too thin, because I don't want it to collapse. And I'm actually, this finger looks like it's doing something important. It's just pushing it along. It's just rotating it. Okay. So once again, I'm gonna go around the outside and I'm just gonna smooth it out because you don't want a lumpy bird. And see how lumpy it is on this side? And that's what I did with my thumb already. So just smoothing out the sides. Now, because it's so soft, if I'm not paying attention and I push a little too hard, I'm gonna make a dent. Or I'm gonna go straight through it. You don't wanna make a hole. So, just gonna keep doing this till it's smoothed out. I think it might be, no, it's a good thickness. So it's about that thick, which is probably half an inch. And gonna continue to smooth out. You can go up and down, you can go side to side, doesn't really matter. Whatever works for you is just fine. Okay. Then we're gonna score and slip this hole that we made with our thumb. So I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna score it, and because it's so soft, my scoring lines are really big. They don't need to be that big. I was putting too much pressure. This side's gonna be a little bit neater and smaller. Okay. So I scored the whole thing. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on there to make slip. Slip's just clay glue. We could make a bowl of slip by mixing clay and water together, and sometimes we do for other things. But for this, it's unnecessary. You can just use your finger. Okay, so now that I slipped it, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna pinch those sides together. And this is when it starts to look like a pierogi. Actually, it looks like a little monster face right now. Okay. So those sides are together. So now what I have to do is I'm gonna go back and forth, just like this. And I'm gonna make that line go away. So that little seam is gone. And it's pretty easy to do it because this clay is really soft. This is when I said, because the clay is soft, if I'm not paying attention and I squish it, it's hollow. So I'm gonna and it's going to squash. We don't want that to happen. Okay, so that whole seam is pretty much gone already. Although it certainly does not look like a bird yet, right? So you're going to look at it and be like, okay, what end do I think is the tail and which end is the head? And I think this end's going to be the tail. So I'm going to make that end the tail. And I'm just going to shape it with my fingers. Not going to add anything to it right now. Now, if you think you need more clay, you can always add more because I gave you some extra. See how it's starting to make a little bird tail already? I'm just kind of pinching it. I want my little bird tail to be. I'm just going to smooth it out and make it look nice now. Maybe pinch it with my thumbs to give it a better shape. Smooth out all those little bits that have been stuck. See how some of it accumulates? It's fine. Just don't get it stuck to your little bird tail. Make sure that it looks nice from all angles. These make good little paperweights. They make cute little decorations. I have one in my spare room on the dresser just because they're cute. Okay, so that's its little tail. And I can mess with it a little more to make it neater if I like, but it's fine for now. Okay, so this end's going to be the head. I might have to add clay to it. I don't know yet. Depends on how big I want my little bird's head to be. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up and see how I'm kind of getting all the little, the bulk, the extra off of what would be the bird's chest. Oh yeah, I'm not going to need extra. That's plenty. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start rounding this out and making it into the bird's little head. And see how I'm just pulling clay up. Try to go from all angles so you can see what I'm doing here. Just using my finger, kind of scoop in the clay. All right, so that should be plenty. I can kind of pinch it. All I'm doing is like making a little okay sign and squishing the clay. Now I'm gonna get rid of all the mess because it's kind of all folded in on itself. You don't want a dent in his head. And it shouldn't take too long because like I said, this clay is really soft, which is nice because it moves easily, but is also bad because it squishes easily. So if I'm not paying attention and I squish my left hand, then I will have a flattened bird and he won't be a cute little fat bird anymore. All right, so see, now he has a head, but he needs a beak. So I'm gonna keep forming his little head. And if it's too small, you either pull more up or you can grab some more off of your little extra block. And I'll give you enough so that you can make several birds. You don't want to make them too big. Don't think like you're going to use it and make one giant bird. They don't work very well like that. They're kind of meant to be hand-sized. Sorry if you can't tell I have the hiccups. I apologize. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pinch in all directions, and that's gonna start to make his little beak. Go backwards because it has a little fold in it. Okay. I'm pretty satisfied with the way his little head looks. So there's my bird. I'm going to do a little bit more work on him though because he is kind of lumpy. So I'm going to clean him up. He also has like, see a little bump on his head, things like that. So I'm going to clean him up, make him look nice. And then I'm going to poke a hole in him and I'll explain that in a minute. Also my fingers are getting dry, which means I'm going to start pulling clay off, which is not my goal. So I still have my water over here. You can use a little bowl, you can use a squirt bottle. Squirt bottle's over there. And that just makes it, excuse me, smooth out better. I added a little too much water, so now he's kind of gummy, but it's fine. If it ever is too damp and you can't handle it, it's kind of getting everywhere and squishy, just set it off to the side for like 10 minutes. Put it in front of a fan, and it will dry out really, really fast, like extraordinarily fast, to the point where you kind of have to watch it to make sure that it doesn't dry, so you can't work on it anymore. And then you can keep going, which we have done a bunch of times, especially with this new clay because it's very squishy, very malleable. Okay, so I like the back better, and now I'm going to smooth out the sides a little better. I don't want him to be all lumpy. You can also add wings if you want, since you have that extra clay. Oh, you know what I should do? So you're going to take him. I'll get it a little bit closer so you can, a little bit further back so you can see it. So I'm going to take it. I don't like the way he sits. I want him to sit up a little bit. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to pop it. And that's going to flatten that. And that's going to make it sit the way I want it to. I also got a little dry piece on there now, so I have to smooth that in. He's pretty much done. So what you need to do now, he's a bubble, essentially. So it's a clay shell, and the only thing inside is air. The only problem is when we put him in the kiln, air expands faster than the clay does. So if you have any thin parts, they're going to explode. So what you need to do is you have to poke a hole in the bottom. And it has to go the whole way in. You can't just like make a dent, because then you're not letting the air out. So I'm going to use this little fettling knife, and I'm going to make a hole right in the bottom of them, almost like a piggy bank. You probably won't have a fettling knife. You can use, and I'm just going to wiggle it back and forth to make sure that it goes the whole way through. Yep, I can see inside. You can use a pencil or a pen. They work great. The end of a paintbrush also works great. And a butter knife will work too. You could use your finger, I guess. Let's see. It makes a really big hole, but it works and it won't explode. So either way is fine. I think my little bird is done. I'm not going to add wings, but if you'd like to add wings, just use your extra piece. You can make them whatever shape you like, and you just score them and slip them and attach them to the sides. But I think I'm going to leave him like this because I like how he looks. So that is your project for week 2. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good week.